everybody, welcome back to Colavita Cooking Live. Welcome Instagram and Facebook. And before I get into my usual introduction, I just want to say I'm a little anxious about today's recipe. So it's a cliffhanger. I think it's going to be a good one, but I had dreams about it last night and I did a lot of research today, so really hoping that this goes well. So if you are joining us for the first time, my name is Elena Iachafano and I'm the Director of Marketing at Colavita. And we are hosting Colavita Cooking Live during this quarantine time to hopefully bring you some classic Italian recipes, some pantry freezer staples that you can easily make at home. And, so it's education, it's entertainment, hopefully, and, and informative. And for today's recipe, so we had some trouble deciding. We ran a poll on Instagram and on Facebook, and Facebook voted one way and Instagram voted the other. So to appease both sides, today we are doing Pasta Carbonara for the Instagram fans, but on Tuesday we will do what Facebook requested, and that is the cacio pepe. Now, these are two of my favorite pasta recipes. I think this one today, the Pasta Carbonara, is my husband Eric's, who's working our cameras, his favorite recipe. And I'm a little anxious about it because it's not a complicated recipe. There aren't a ton of ingredients, so it's a great one for you to be making at home right now. But it is tricky. And I have to say, I read a lot of articles over the past 24 hours and played it over in my head multiple times and brought out a lot of equipment which I can explain as we go. So the reason that it's tricky is because of the eggs, and you don't want them to scramble. Pasta carbonara is a beautiful combination of spaghetti, eggs, pork, usually guanciale, I'm using bacon, we'll talk about it, and pecorino and Parmesan cheeses. And that's pretty much it. It's so simple. But the trick comes in adding the egg to the pasta so that eggs don't scramble. I had nightmares about scrambled eggs last night. So I have a few things to help me not scramble the eggs, and it's going to be a cliffhanger because, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm hoping for good things though. So we are going to get started. Anyway, before I do though, I just wanted to reiterate that we are here on Facebook and Instagram every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. making things that you're voting for. So if you're not voting, get to the polls. We will have another one soon, although next time we are making the cacio pepe for you Facebooks. So get to the polls, sign up for our email newsletter on colavita.com, where you will get a replay of what we're doing here, an abbreviated replay so you don't have to watch me garble through all this stuff. And you'll also get to know what we're doing next. You'll get the recipe sent to you so you can follow it and perhaps cook along. Bring your iPad into the kitchen or your phone or whatever. Okay, so let's get going here. First thing we're going to do, I have some pasta water boiling. Now usually for these kind of situations, cooking shows and stuff, I would already boil my pasta and have it ready to go, but we need the pasta to be hot, and I will get to that. So water is boiling, and then I have a little pan here that I am going to start cooking my bacon in. So I'm going to add a little Colavita olive oil. This is our premium selection. And I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons to this little pan. And then I'm going to add the bacon. Now, a couple things about carbonara. The proportions are important. So I am cooking ½ pound of pasta. What I realized when I made the bolognese video on Tuesday, thank you all for watching if anyone did, is that I made an entire bag of pasta, and there are only 2 of us in this house, and we are still eating it. Joyfully still eating it, but still eating it. So I'm making ½ pound of pasta this time. And so you want to have about, if you're having a pound of pasta, you want about a cup of cheeses, which we'll talk about, 2 cheeses, and you want about 4 ounces of bacon. So I have about 2 ounces because I've got half of that. And another note about the bacon. So like I was saying, traditionally carbonara is made with guanciale, which is also pork, but it's pork cheek. And I did not have that. You may not have it either. You can find it, but I had bacon and it was already in my fridge, and you know how it goes this time. We want to use what we have. So bacon is here. And what I did with the bacon is I cut it up into teeny tiny little pieces, as small as I could, because of the pasta that we're using. We're using Colavita spaghetti, the organic one. And Colavita spaghetti is, you have these, they're called strands, they're very narrow. And you don't want like a big hunk of bacon. How's it going to attach itself to not so much real estate here? So I cut my bacon pieces really small so they're more easily cling to these strands. That's my goal anyway. So we're going to fry this up. And you kind of want it to be crispy, so we're going to give that a good few minutes. Now that I brought up my pasta, I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. So this is spaghetti carbonara, and spaghetti are these strands. Now you could also use one of my favorite strand pastas, bucatini, which is thicker and hollow in the middle, but we're going to use that next time for our cacio e pepe. So those are some of the strands that you could use. You could also use a rigatoni, but I made all my rigatoni with the bolognese on Tuesday, so we're using spaghetti. So those are the 3 cuts of pasta I would recommend for this carbonara dish. Alright, we are getting toasty. So a couple of things to be aware of. I'm turning up my heat. So this is, ooh, we are boiling. This is my studio kitchen, and there's only one appliance in here that works, which is the stovetop. The sink is pretend. It's nice, isn't it? But it doesn't have water. So normally I would drain my pasta, always reserving the pasta water, very important, which we'll talk about, into the sink. But there are a few reasons I'm not going to do that today. And not only because I don't have a functioning sink in this room, but I'm actually going to drain it. Here's a colander. Here's a bowl. Into the bowl that I'm going to mix all my ingredients in. And that's because I want the hot pasta water to heat up this bowl. And then I'm going to dump the water back in here. Because, so there'll be hot pasta water, and then I'll dump it back out in there. The heat from the water is going to heat the bowl, and the pasta will also be hot, and it will hopefully perfectly cook the eggs so they don't scramble. If I cooked it in the pot that had been on the stove, it would already be too hot, and my eggs would scramble most likely. Your pot, even when it's off the heat, it retains a lot of heat, and eggs, you know, scramble at, I believe it's like 145 degrees, 141, which may seem like a lot to you, but in pot on stovetop speak, really not that hot. You know what I mean? Okay, so we have the proper stuff to make this happen. And we are getting crispy. Now, I don't know if we should take a vote from the audience on how crispy you like your bacon, but I kind of like it pretty crispy. So we need to keep going here. Now, another thing. Oh.
Question what you're making today?
Oh, I'm making pasta carbonara. Thank you guys for jumping in. I'll redo my little intro. Today we're making the traditional pasta carbonara with eggs, Parmesan, pecorino, spaghetti, and bacon.
We have check-ins from Donna in Tazewell, Virginia.
Hi.
Mary, she's in Port Stanley, Ontario, Canada. No,
Wow.
no, she is in New Jersey, Wantage. And then in Canada is Arlene.
Hi, Arlene from Canada and from Ontario. Mary, thank you for joining us from so far away. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about our cheese. Well, our bacon is almost there, but it should really be a little crispier. So I have a total of maybe a little bit more than a half a cup of cheese, and it's a mix of finely grated Parmesan and Pecorino Romano. These are both really salty cheeses, and you've got some salty bacon. So you don't really need any more salt in this dish, but you should always start with good ingredients. So buy that good Parmesan for this, because you have such few ingredients in this dish that, so few ingredients in this dish that you really want them to be good. So your cheese should be good, your bacon should come from a good place, good pigs, half pigs, and your eggs, and also your pasta. And dried pasta is a great choice for this dish, probably even better than fresh, because it's a little bit sturdier and it's going to hold up to all this mixing and bacon and cheese and etc. So really good option. Okay, we are almost to crispiness. Now, you're going to notice that while I added the olive oil to this, there's going to be a lot of fat accumulated from the bacon. We're going to want to use some of that, so don't get rid of it. I'm going to spoon some of it off. Okay, now the eggs. Very important about the eggs. They should be at room temperature. There's actually a few things that are important to keep in mind about your eggs. First of all, room temperature. You don't want them to be so cold right out of the fridge, and then you're hitting them with this hot pasta and hot pasta water. It's just going to shock them, and they won't be able to gradually come to a temperature that's going to be nice for a creamy coated pasta. So room temperature eggs. There's also more egg yolks than there are whole eggs. So there are 2 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks. Now keep in mind, I only have half a pound of pasta. So if I were making a full pound, I'd probably add another egg and an egg yolk. Okay, I think this bacon is good. So I'm going to take that off and set it over here to chill out for a little while. Very hot. Okay. Whew, it's granite. It's okay. It's not going to burn. All right. So another thing about the eggs is, since we have egg whites and egg yolks, I'm going to move these bottles out of the way. So
How many eggs?
How many eggs? We have 2 full eggs and 2 egg yolks. Get that in there. And if you had, and keep in mind, 2 full eggs and 2 egg yolks are for a half pound of pasta. So if you had a full, you might want to double that, or at least put a few more in. Okay, whisk. So, I'm sure you guys have all made scrambled eggs before. That's a thing. Now when you make scrambled eggs, you've got egg whites and egg yolks. And if you don't whisk it well enough, then you see little strands of the white in your scrambled egg. Nobody wants that here. So you really need to mix it well. Also, we're going to whisk, we're going to add the cheese, and we're going to add the pepper. But first, I'm going to put my pasta in. Okay, we are boiling here. I'm going to put this lid in my non-functioning sink just to hang out. And I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. Again, you don't have to add a lot as you normally do for this pasta, because you've got so much else, so much salt from different sources, from the cheese, from the bacon, that you don't need a lot. So I'm just going to add less than I normally do to my pot. And I'm going to put in my pasta. Okay, what time is it?
3:14.
Okay, tell me when it's 3:22. Yeah, 3:22. I don't have my watch on. It ran out of batteries. We have to time our pasta. So I'm going to get it in there. Okay, pasta is cooking. Now time for egg whisking. serious business. I really want these eggs today. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now to that, I'm going to add a few cracks of freshly ground pepper. Glow goes up. And my cheese. And whisk it really well. Okay, so now you have a lovely mixture of whole egg, egg yolk, pepper, and cheese. And this is just going to hang out here and wait. Okay. Now we will ready the bowl. Now another thing we're going to need to do, I'll just give these guys a little bit of a stir here. Are your hands up for a question? Or are you just stretching? Yes?
Just reiterate what we're making here today.
Oh, okay. I'll reintroduce myself too. My name is Elena Iacofano, Director of Marketing at Colavita, and I am making Pasta Carbonara. And that is, if anybody doesn't know, that is a spaghetti dish that uses egg yolks, Parmesan and Pecorino cheeses, and bacon. That is it. So that is what we are making today. So this is, I'm curious to know if anyone has made any of the recipes that we've been putting on these lives and how they've come out. A lot of what we're trying to do here is show recipes that are simple, have few ingredients, or have substitutions, or that have ingredients that you can find in your pantry and freezer. So nothing too crazy. I've been pretty easily able to get eggs at my grocery store, which is nice. So that's been pretty easy, and I had bacon in the freezer because that's just what I do. So I don't know that you would make this recipe without bacon, however. I think it would be a little sad. I gotta be honest, it would be very sad. It wouldn't be pasta carbonara. It would not be that. It would be something different. Okay, pasta is cooking. So, one thing that I need to remember to do before I drain the pasta into this bowl is to reserve about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of the pasta water. And you usually want to do this when you make a pasta dish. It's really important because this dish actually, may surprise you to know, does not have any cream in it. There's some recipes I've seen that call for a splash of cream, or I know sometimes people put it in, but it's not actually required. The creaminess comes from the eggs and the pasta water. And you can use pasta water in your other pasta dishes to make your sauce creamy when it actually doesn't have any cream. Pro tip, you'll see this again on Tuesday with the cacio e pepe. Pasta water is so important there. I used to think there was cream in that. There is no cream, just cheese and pasta water. So, and why that happens is the starches that release from the pasta when they're cooking are in that water, and they thicken it, almost like a cornstarch would when you thicken a sauce. So it works in the very same way. Pretty cool, right? Love science. Okay, so one other thing that we want to do here, while our pasta is cooking, is I want to take some of my bacon fat and I want to get it in this spoon right here, and I want to add it to my eggs. Takes a very steady hand, people. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to drip it in a little at a time. Should probably do this the other way. Switch hands. So this is going to accomplish a few things. Because this pork fat and combined with olive oil is warm, it's going to start to temper the eggs, so they'll bring it up to temperature a little bit more. And it's going to add some flavor. I mean, I know we're getting the bacon in there, but this will add a little bit more flavor. Okay, so time check for our pasta, sir. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, so this looks good so far. The only pieces I see are pieces of cheese. Thumbs up. Okay, so, yes, I did dream about this recipe last night. I don't make it very often, I have to admit to you. And I don't know why. It's such a fantastic recipe. It's so filling. You've got protein from eggs, you've got carbs, you've got a little bacon. It's a really comforting recipe, really nice for a time like this, and it doesn't take much time, but it's just tricky. So I was a little agitated, but I think, like cacio pepe, I can make that with almost both hands tied behind my back and my eyes closed, but this one is a little tricky. So I don't know if any of you have tried it. If they have some of their favorite tricks you'd like to shout them out, please feel free to. And if you have any comments that we miss during this broadcast, please leave them in the comments, and we're happy to get those a little later. Let's see where we're at here. 1 more minute or so. Always important to test your pasta. It should be al dente, which means to the tooth, which means still a little firm on the inside. You don't want soggy pasta, especially because we're going to be adding more water, and it will continue to absorb that water. So if you cook it too much, then you're going to get like really soggy, bloated pasta. Nobody wants that. It's very sad. Okay. Does anybody feel the suspense? Because I do. I'm very excited. I want to start mixing, but I need patience. That's another thing. This recipe requires patience. Sometimes I'm short on that. All right. So I have seen this recipe with frozen peas or fresh peas. That's not a traditional carbonara. So I'm going to say no peas. But you know what? I don't like to tell you guys what not to do. If you want peas in your carbonara, go ahead. But I'm just telling you what my research has shown. You could put some fresh herbs on this after. I would choose parsley. That would be my herb of choice. To do a little sprinkle on top. Really nice for color too. Let's see. That's really it. You don't dress this up. You just make it and eat it and enjoy it.
What is it?
Pasta carbonara. Alright. I would love to know some of your favorite pasta dishes in the comments, if anybody has any. Cacio pepe is certainly one of mine, and we're making that on Tuesday. Alright, we're ready to go. Alright, here we go, people. Now, this is when it's going to get pretty exciting. First, before the oven mitts, we're going to take this guy, dip it in here, and I'm going to take as much of that as I can, about 2 cups. Okay. Then, I'm a little nervous, I have to admit. I'm just going to shift this over here for a second. And move that up onto there so my camera can see it. Okay. Back to the oven mitts. I'm going to try to do this slowly. Okay, and now, after getting that, it's not as bad as I thought. We're just going to scoop the rest of this pasta in here. Okay, perfect. Put this down.
Somebody's commenting they like gnocchi with palomino sauce.
Wow, all right. I love gnocchi, by the way. Gnocchi is just like potatoey, starchy perfection. Okay, guys, are you ready for the moment of truth? Pasta goes in the bowl. The pasta is hot. I'm going to be pouring this in with one hand and using my tongs, constantly swirling it around. You need constant motion. Whew. My heart's beating really fast, I gotta be honest with you. This is looking really good. Okay, and then I don't want it all in there. Oh my gosh, it worked. Success. This is super creamy and super delicious looking. There are no scrambled eggs in here. I'm going to bring it up to both cameras so you will be able to see. So at this point, you could add more pasta water if you would like to, but honestly, I love the consistency, so I don't think it needs it. However, what it does need is bacon. So I'm going to sprinkle in my chips of bacon. I feel so relieved. I was really worried. I really wanted to do it right for you guys. Okay. Get every little bacon piece you can. Okay, and now we're going to roll up our sleeves and mix it a little bit more. Okay. You want to come in for a close-up? See that? See this lovely consistency here? There are no scrambled eggs here. Oh my gosh, the smell. It's ridiculous. So, I might actually add a little bit more of the cracked pepper, because that'll be really nice. And you would serve this maybe with a little bit more pecorino. Facebook needs to see. Can they see?
Yeah, kind of.
You want me to bring it up? Let's try. I'm coming around.
Cool. You're not going to see it live.
Oh. Does that work? Yeah, pretty much. All right. So, let me get back over here. Whew. Okay, so yeah, a little bit more fresh cracked pepper, some fresh parsley if you have it. If you don't do it.
So explain, we're using bacon instead of pancetta?
We're using bacon instead of pancetta or guanciale. So great point by whoever brought that up. Thank you. So guanciale is actually traditional, which is pork cheek. And I am using bacon instead of that or pancetta because it's what I had. Now, if I had my first choice and everything in the grocery store to have, I would have chosen the guanciale. Second choice, pancetta. But whatever you have is perfect. So any of those three choices will do. But you know, I kind of had to use up that bacon that I had. It seems silly to buy too much these days. So there you go. Oh my goodness. I am so excited about this. So this is the kind of thing you serve immediately. I'm actually going to try it for you right here because that's what we do. Right? That's the payoff. You get to watch the chef eat what they made, and then they can be like, what's that?
Plate.
What's that?
Plate.
A plate. I have a plate. I can't just pick it up out of the bowl and eat it. My husband is correcting my manners, everyone. Wow. Everyone take a note. All right. I'm going to try to do a little twist. Did you ever see people do this? They twist the pasta around the tongs. I don't know that I'm very good at this. And then, no, it's not so bad.
That's good, okay.
Oh gosh, you kind of got to hold the tongs a little bit better. Yeah, that's not terribly good, but a little practice on that one. Okay, there is my little dish of
Do you think you can find the, I don't know how to pronounce that,
Oops, hang on.
guanciale
Do you think I can find it right now?
in New Jersey normally?
Yes, absolutely in New Jersey. There are so many Italian Americans here. You can certainly find it. If you know a good butcher, even at your local supermarket, you should go ask him because he might know or might be able to cut it for you. I know I can call my local butcher at my supermarket and they will set aside cuts of meat for me. So you should definitely ask. If you know an Italian butcher, a small meat shop, definitely call them. We have a couple in the area. So, you know, it depends on what's around you, but it's definitely available in New Jersey. Although right now, I'm not sure, but probably more available than toilet paper, so. Alright, I'm gonna give this a go. And we're gonna see. You got my twirl going on here. Oh, it's really good. You wanna try some? Yeah, okay. It's really good. I'm so happy. And maybe the nightmares about pasta will now cease. I have to tell you, adding a little bit of bacon fat to the egg mixture, you can really taste that. It stays in the sauce and it's really, really nice. It has a really smoky flavor, and I have to say, that is a good way to go. Definitely do that. You just need like a tablespoon or two. 2 tablespoons if you're using a full pound of pasta. Okay, I've made a ridiculous mess. Let me wrap up, and if there are any remaining questions, I'd be happy to answer them. So, just to wrap up, you can watch us here on Facebook or on Instagram every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. And we're taking your votes for what I should be making. And hopefully these episodes are helpful and entertaining for you. Please ask your questions. You can leave your questions, later in the day whenever we try to get back to them. Sign up for our newsletter at colavita.com and you'll get a full replay of everything I've done here along with recipes so you can continue to follow along. You can also order Colavita products, peruse our other recipes, there are many, and you can watch our live feed from the homepage too, which is really great. Please follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and then you'll be notified when these things are happening. You'll see the polls, you can vote, and all that kind of exciting stuff. Again, my name is Elena, and I really appreciate you joining us today. I'm so excited that I did it right for you guys. It's great. That's all I have for you. Any remaining questions? That's it. Okay. See you back here on Tuesday. Have a happy Easter to anybody who's celebrating. I believe Passover is also, happy Passover. That's and, stay safe, stay home, stay healthy, make pasta carbonara, and come back on Tuesday.